Welcome back. All right, it's turned out to be kind of a quiet day today in terms of hockey news. So that allowed me some time to put together another video in the ongoing series looking at teams' playoff histories between 99 2000 and 2020 2021. And today we're talking about the Canes. Carolina, a team that hasn't had a lot of success and definitely has had trouble with sustained success. Even before the move, they had trouble with that. Yes, originally the Hartford Whalers, when they moved to Carolina, there were numerous reasons for that, and they've struggled. They've struggled to build any kind of a consistent winning formula. Now in 99 2000, this is a team that finishes above 500. 37, 35, and 10. They don't make the playoffs that year. Ron Francis was their leading scorer in 78 games, 23 goals, 50 assists, 73 points. So Francis, interestingly enough, had been a Hartford Whaler. Gets traded to the Penguins. They have pretty decent runs in Pittsburgh, right? And then he ends up in Carolina. Not too long after that. So, and I say not too long after, but it's almost a decade. But to me, it all kind of blends together. So 2000, 2001, they finished 38, 32, 9, and 3, and they actually make the playoffs. They lose in the first round against New Jersey in 6 games. So this goes against something that we'll see with Carolina, which is they seem to go on runs. They just seem to go on runs kind of out of nowhere. Jeff O'Neill was their leading scorer that year in 82 games, 41 goals, 26 assists, 67 points. In the playoffs, he plays 6 games, 1 goal, 2 assists for O'Neill. 2001, 2002, they finished 35, 26, 16, and 5, and they're in the playoffs again. So back-to-back seasons in the playoffs, which is rare for Carolina until very recent history. So in the first round, they knocked out New Jersey. Revenge is theirs. They won that one in 6. In the second round, they knocked out Montreal, also in 6. And in the conference finals, they knocked out Toronto in 6. So they prevented a Montreal-Toronto matchup in the conference finals. And then in the Stanley Cup final, they ran into Detroit. Detroit, a machine at this point. Carolina loses in 5 in that series. Ron Francis, their leading scorer, 80 games, 27 goals, 50 assists, 77 points. In the playoffs, 23 games played, 6 goals, 10 assists for Francis. So the following season, they're coming off of a Stanley Cup final run. Artur Serbe was a huge part of that. Urbe's a hero. But 2002, 2003... they don't make the playoffs. They finished 22, 43, 11, and 6. What's interesting with Carolina is they miss the playoffs regularly, but a season like that's that brutal, that's not that common for them. O'Neill's their leading scorer that year, 82 games, 30 goals, 31 assists, 61 points. Jeff O'Neill was a very good goal scorer in his day. 2003, 2004, they finished 28, 34, 14, and 6, so better record, but still no playoffs. Joseph Vasicek is their leading scorer that year. 82 games, 19 goals, 26 assists, 45 points. So they're definitely going through some stuff. So 04-05, that season's wiped out due to the lockout. And 05-06, we get the unusual Stanley Cup. Very unusual. They make the playoffs at 52, 22, and 8. But the Southeast Division is seen as being kind of weak. So Carolina getting 52 wins, that's nice, but they weren't favored to do much in the playoffs. And in the first round, it looked like Montreal was going to knock them out. Cue Cam Ward. The Cam Ward run starts. They knock out Montreal in 6. They then knocked out New Jersey in 5. And then they took out Buffalo in the conference finals in 7. And what was a great series. Then they go to the Stanley Cup final. They win that in 7 over an Edmonton team that put up a pretty good fight considering Dwayne Rolison goes down early in that series. Their starting goaltender. Eric Staal is their leading scorer that year. Best season of his career. 82 games, 45 goals, 55 assists, 100 points. He also scored a key goal during that playoff run to knock out Montreal. 25 games in said playoffs, 9 goals, including that important one against Montreal. 19 assists, 28 points. 2006, 2007, they're back out of the playoffs. So this is the thing. Cam Ward, great run. Conn Smythe, everything's fantastic for Carolina. And then they're back outside the playoffs. 2006, 2007, they finished 40, 34, and 8. No playoffs. Ray Whitney's their leading scorer. In 81 games, 32 goals, 51 assists, 83 points. And Ray Whitney is one of those players who got better as he got older. He became a better producer and a better overall player. 2007, 2008, they don't make the playoffs again, but they finished 43, 33, and 6. So it's a respectable record, right? Eric Staal is their leading scorer. 82 games, 38 goals, 44 assists, 82 points. 2008-2009, they're back in the playoffs, 45, 30, and 7. And again, this shows when they make the playoffs, they have a pretty good run. So finals in 2002, Stanley Cup in 2006, 2009, the first round they knock out New Jersey in 7. Second round they knocked out Boston in 7. And then they lost in 4 straight against a Pittsburgh team that would not be denied that year. Ray Whitney's their leading scorer, 82 games, 24 goals, 53 assists for 77 points. And in the playoffs, 18 games, 3 goals, 8 assists, 11 points for Whitney. So a nice long run. And that's kind of what Carolina was capable of. But now they go into that long stretch without playoffs. 2009-2010, 35, 37, and 10 record. No playoffs. Eric Stahl's their leading scorer, 70 games, 29 goals, 41 assists, 70 points. Very reliable leading scorer in Eric Staal. 2010-2011, they finished 40, 31, and 11, so not a bad record, but no playoffs. Eric Staal, 81 games, 33 goals, 43 assists, 76 points. 2011-2012, they end up finishing 500 that year. 33, 33, and 16. No playoffs. Eric Staal, 82 games, 24 goals, 46 assists, 70 points. 2012-2013. Now we're into another lockout shortened season. 19, 25, and 4 is their record. No playoffs. Eric Stahl's the leading scorer again. 48 games, 18 goals, 35 assists, 53 points. So this is where Stahl's playing really well, but the team just isn't getting any traction. They're not getting closer to the playoffs. There's a lot of frustration, whether it's getting rid of coaches or trying to figure out a new general manager or whatever it is. It's just not working, right? 2013-2014, 36, 35, and 11. Again, no playoffs. Staal, 79 games. He's their leading scorer again. 21 goals, 40 assists, 61 points. 2014-2015, 30, 41, and 11 is the record, which means no playoffs. Eric Stahl's their leading scorer in 77 games, 23 goals, 31 assists, 54 points. And this is right about where Eric Staal ends up being moved on from, where Carolina realizes we've got to change something up here, right? So 2015-2016 is where this channel starts to become a thing. 35, 31, and 16 is their record. Again, no playoffs, but Jeff Skinner becomes their leading scorer now. 82 games, 28 goals, 23 assists, 51 points. So Skinner with 28 goals, good season, but in 82 games, 51 points being your leading scorer, you probably want more than that. So for Carolina, they're still figuring things out. 2016-2017, Skinner's the leading scorer again. His points total goes up. The team finishes 36, 31, and 15, almost an identical record to the year before. And I remember going into 2016-2017, I believe I picked Carolina to make the playoffs. Just didn't happen. So Skinner's the leading scorer, 79 games, 37 goals, 26 assists, 63 points. The following season, again, no playoffs. 36, 35, and 11. So they're mediocre. They're flirting with being a respectable team. They go on winning streaks and they'd have good runs, and they go on a losing streak to offset it. Aho's the leading scorer that year, 78 games, 29 goals, 36 assists for 65 points. Sebastian Aho has become the consistent leading scorer for Carolina in a way that only Eric Staal has been capable of doing so. 4 straight years, let's see. Staal was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 straight years, 7 out of 8, 8 out of 10. That year, 2017-2018, the first of 4 straight that Aho would be the leading scorer, so we'll see if he can make it 5. 2018-2019, they finished 46, 29, and 7. They do make the playoffs that year. And it's funny because that was where I kind of gave up. I was like, yeah, I give up. Carolina always finds a way to be mediocre. They have all the parts there to be a better team, but I give up. And then they turned it around. First round, they knocked out Washington in 7. Second round, they swept the Islanders, who had just swept Pittsburgh. And then in the next round, they were swept by Boston. And get these over with. We want these playoffs done, is how that looked. Aho's the leading scorer, 82 games, 30 goals, 53 assists, 83 points. And in the playoffs, 15 games played, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points. Sebastian Aho's learning along the way. I get the feeling that this team eventually is going to hold up the Stanley Cup again. And one thing that's good about this run now is we're starting to see them make the playoffs every year. 2019-2020, they finished 38, 25, and 5. In the qualifying round, they swept the Rangers, a team they had problems with during the regular season. and then they lost in 5 in the next round against Boston, which was a tough series. And I say that even as a Boston fan because it felt like Carolina should have won at least one more game than they did there. Aho's the leading scorer again, 68 games, 38 goals, 28 assists for 66 points. In the playoffs, he plays 8 games, 3 goals, 9 assists for 12 points. So Aho is a playoff performer. The season we just finished, 2020-2021, they finished 36-12-8. Ridiculous winning record for Carolina to finish first in that division. And easily the best winning percentage they've had as a team in the National Hockey League. But after knocking out Nashville in the first round in 6 games, in the second round, they lose against Tampa Bay in 5. A team in Tampa that was not going to be denied their back-to-back Stanley Cups. Aho's the leading scorer in 56 games, 24 goals, 33 assists for 57 points. In the playoffs, 11 games played, 6 goals, 5 assists for 11 points. So what's interesting with Carolina is this is the first time since moving to Carolina, this team's been in the playoffs 3 years in a row. And I think everybody's going to agree they should be top 4 in the Metro. They should be a playoff team again next season. So there's definitely a base there where we're starting to see that foundation being built upon and actual winning hockey becoming a major thing in Carolina. And surprise, surprise, despite all of the discussions about how poor the attendance was and around here, the attendance got better when the team got better. Who knew? You give the fans something to cheer for. You make the fans think there's hope. All of a sudden, fans are interested in what's going on. Now, they're all-time leading scorers in the playoffs. And again, this is just Carolina. This is not including Hartford. Eric Staal, 43 games, 19 goals, 24 assists, 43 points. Reliable in the playoffs. Rod Brind'Amour, 72 games in the playoffs, 18 goals, 20 assists for 38 points. And of course, Brind'Amour, with his cup ring and all of that, there's the argument to be made about whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame. I would say the combination of his playing career and then his coaching career could very well get him in the Hall of Fame. Sebastian Aho, 34 games, 14 goals, 21 assists, 35 points. At some point over the next couple of years, he should surpass Eric Staal as the all-time leading scorer in Carolina playoff history. Now, in the playoffs, that's where it gets interesting. Cam Ward, still the leader there. 23-18 was his record with a .917 save percentage. Artur Serbe actually had better numbers. 14-16 with a .925 save percentage. And a lot of that, of course, is going to be that run they had up until Detroit gave them the smackdown in the finals. Mrazek, 8-9 with a .902 save percentage. Jury's still out on whether or not he's coming back, but if he doesn't, Nedeljkovic can take over. He's 4-5 in his career. Of course, that's all this season with a .920 save percentage. Nedeljkovic was solid. So we'll see whether or not Nedeljkovic at some point over the next season, 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, if he ends up starting to chip away at Cam Ward's 23 wins, being the leader in all-time playoff history for Carolina. And of course, a great large chunk of those wins for Ward in the playoffs come in that Stanley Cup victory season of 2006. So it's interesting that this is a team that doesn't make the playoffs very often, but they do have the cup ring. And we talk a lot about teams that make the playoffs all the time and just can't get over the hump. Carolina's a team that didn't really have a problem getting over that hump once they made the playoffs. Now we're starting to see them consistently in the playoffs. And again, they lose in round 1 here. Conference or the Stanley Cup final here. They make it, win the Stanley Cup here. They lose in the conference final here. They lost in the conference final here. They lose technically in round 1 here, but they got out of the qualifying round, and they lost in round 2 this year. Carolina doesn't lose that first series, however you want to look at it, whether it's qualifying round or the actual first round. They just don't really lose that first series. And it is remarkable how this is a team that seems to be built for playoffs usually and not necessarily regular season, but now they may very well be able to find that formula for both. I expect Carolina to be a popular pick for the 2022 Cup as a dark horse. Then when people talk about that dark horse team, I expect Carolina to be one of those teams that people say, hey, watch Carolina as a dark horse. We'll see what they do over the summer and what kind of improvements they make, but it's been an impressive run over the last few years. Let me know your thoughts regarding that in the comment section below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.